everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Chill Spot Podcast.
Hey.
The fuck happened to you?
I'm a real skater now, guys.
Yeah, it's been 1 week.
I have, for those of you who are listening and not watching the podcast, my arm is in a sling. I fractured my radial bone.
Fractured the shit out of it.
When I was skating, and I'm in a sling for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
So be sure to enjoy some Sam in a Sling content coming to Chill Spot.
Yeah.
Yep, you can enjoy the next couple streams of just you know, being in a sling.
Yeah.
Talk about sling life.
Sling gang.
Just sling my life.
Sling gang gang.
Hey. What is that thing? It's like, instead of saying I'm a paper...
I'm a big fucking slut.
I'm a big fucking slut. Can we just talk about that for a second? I don't know if you guys, those at home, have heard about this. So that song, Live Your Life is what it's called?
Live Your Life by T.I. featuring Rihanna and Kanye, I think?
Sure, whatever.
One other rapper.
Point being, guys, listen to the song on Spotify, and there's a part where Rihanna goes, I'm a paper chaser, in the hook, right? But if you in your head, and I'm not lying, if you in your head think that she's gonna say, I'm a big fucking slut.
You can really hear it.
You can hear it, and I'm not joking. Like, pause this episode, you're probably on Spotify, go over to that song, and I swear, I'm a paper chaser turns into, I'm a big fucking slut, and I wish I was joking. I wish I was joking.
Yeah.
That's true!
Yeah.
I love shit like that, though.
Me too.
Fucking internet black magic shit.
Yeah. But yeah, no, back to me.
Okay.
Yeah, my arm really hurts.
Yeah, I mean, should we tell the story of like...
Yeah, let's do it. So, I was skating in a parking lot by myself, and I was practicing backwards skating because I want to get better at that. Mm-hmm. And I tripped on myself, and I fell backwards, and I hit my elbow on the pavement. And at the time, it just felt like I hit my funny bone, but like times a million. Mm-hmm. It was just like that awful feeling, but just like a lot, and it wouldn't go away. So I just kind of sat on the pavement and just went like, ah.
Yeah, like Peter Griffin, like, owie. You're like, usually this stops by now.
Yeah. But it didn't really go away, so I packed it in, but I could still like turn my hand like from palm up to palm down. Mm-hmm. So I figured, maybe I just jumbled the nerves up really badly. Maybe it'll hurt overnight. I won't sleep on it. I'll wake up in the morning and it'll feel a bit better. Went home, told Cam that I smacked it, talked to my friend who had actually coincidentally just finished med school like a couple days before.
Congratulations.
Shout out to Sarah.
She doesn't listen to this podcast.
No, she doesn't. But I wish her well anyways. And she was like, yeah, no, like the fact that you can still move it means that like you probably just messed up the nerves a little bit. You're probably okay. Just, ice it if you want to, but just keep off it and you'll be better. And I was like, thank you, doctor. And went about my way. Went to bed. At about 2:30 in the morning, I woke up in a lot of pain. And this arm was just screaming at me. Mm-hmm. So I went downstairs and I called Telehealth Ontario. And after like telling the nurse about what was going on with me, he was like, so you should go to the emergency room. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, I'm sure. For what? Listen, he was kind of fucking rude.
Didn't he sass you a little bit?
That nurse sassed me a little bit. Because like, it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm scared. My arm hurts. I can't move it. And I'm calling telehealth, like, this is serious. I'm worried about myself. So I wasn't at peak intelligence level. So he was like asking me questions like, can you move it? Like, can you turn your palm up and palm down? And I was like, I can move it like, so that my thumb is sticking up a little bit. And he was like, yeah, okay, so you can't move it. And I was like, okay, fine, I guess.
You know what it is, though? He probably just got off the phone with someone where it's like, hey, so, I was just in the park and I got shot in the leg. Yeah. Do you think I should go to the hospital?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's like, you don't want to go to the hospital. Like, I was telling the truth, but I was at the same time trying to get the answer that I wanted.
Right, which is go back to bed, you'll be fine.
In the morning, yeah.
Yeah,
but that's obviously not what happened.
No.
So he was like, you need to go to the emergency room, and I was like, do I? And he was like, you do. So I went upstairs, and I woke Cam up, and I was like, hey. So I called telehealth, my arm really hurts, and they said that we need to go to the emergency room.
And I was like, what?
Yeah. So we drove.
Well, I mean, can I say my thing from my perspective?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
like, you woke me up and, like, literally it did not feel real. Like, you were sitting on my bed and, like, I don't even remember, at this point when you're talking, I don't even remember being asleep.
Well, that's why I was, like, not excited to wake you up, because I know when you get woken up, like, you take a few minutes to come back to reality. Mm-hmm. But I was like, Cameron, hospital. Mm-hmm. We need to go. So, like, I woke you up and I was like, are you awake? Like I, kind of gently roused you and waited a few seconds. I was like, Cameron, and I waited you for, like, rub your eyes. And I was like, are you, like, awake now? Yeah. And you were like, yeah. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
Here's the thing. But it's funny,
You're
right?
probably not really awake right now, but I need to go to the hospital.
But here's the funny part, right? So it's like 2:30 in the morning, and, like, anyone who's been awakened suddenly, and you're still in bed, like, in a lying down position, like, your brain is just like, go back to sleep. Yeah. Go back to sleep. It's primal, right? It's just like you want to go back to sleep. So when you told me about your arm and you had to go to the hospital, I legit, like, had to fight my urges and be like, so you mean, like, right now? Like, you don't mean, like, in 6 hours after a good night's sleep. Like, you need to go to the hospital right this second.
Yeah, like, I have waited long enough. Like, he told me on the phone, he was like, he was like, when did you hurt your arm? I was like, probably around, like, 9 o'clock, and this is at, like, 2:30. He's like, it's already been, like, 6 hours. Like, it's still in pain. You need to go to the hospital.
There is, like, primal forces in my head, like, being like, just go back to sleep. Yeah. Like, just, like, this is what you want versus this is what you need to do. Yeah. And what I need to do won that fight. You know, it went like, and it was just like, okay. I remember sitting in my bed at one point, and you were, like, getting ready to go as well. And I had to, like, I do the thing, because I don't know if you would use you guys at home do this, but what I do when I need to wake up and I'm tired is just turn the lights on. Yeah. Just, like, shock yourself, right? Yeah. Like, turn the lights on. I was sitting there, like, and, like, shut up, like, put shorts and a t-shirt on, and was just like, okay, let's go. Yeah. I don't want to talk about
how early it is.
Yeah. I just want to get in the car. Yeah. And go. And then we did, and we got to your hospital. And everything was fine after that. We didn't even wait that long in the emerge, all things considered.
For what it's worth,
3.5, 4 hours, give or take.
Yeah, it's sad that 4 hours isn't long in the ER.
Yeah,
during a pandemic, that we're like, oh no, we were on the luckier side. But yeah, like, first of all, like, shout out to healthcare workers right now.
Triage workers for sure.
I felt awful. The triage nurse who took me in looked so tired. So tired. She was like, listen, it's busy. Like, it is busy. And I was like, okay, just so I can keep, my expectations in check, like, how long do you think it'll take? And she was like, you're not going to get in until after 7. This was at like 4 in the morning.
And this is about 3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, she's like, not going to get in until after 7. I was like, okay, that's, I have a time frame, like, that's totally okay. But she looked tired. She was like, it's busy tonight.
She's probably been there since like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's not even like, she's not even halfway done her shift yet. Yeah. That's the sad part.
And it's also like, you're a frontline worker. Yeah. She was a frontline worker. She's taking my temperature. I have to, like, pull my mask down to do certain things, like taking my temperature and, like, all these other things. Like, it's just,
you feel like you're violating her, right? With this like COVID shit.
Like, with COVID going on, I felt bad that I had to, like, take my mask down around this essential worker who has been, single-handedly along with the rest of her field, like, upholding society.
Yeah, really.
And keeping it running, So just, like, shout out to her. She wasn't like Daisy May, like, oh, what happened to your arm, sweetheart? Oh, I'm so sad. But she wasn't cold.
No.
And just thank you for that. Like, thank you for being there and, just being honest with me and doing what you do. And, like, shout out to her. I think her name was Christine or Christina.
Her home address is this on screen right now.
No, but shout out to the staff at Grand River Hospital. They along with the rest of all healthcare workers in this pandemic right now. I mean, like, the fact that she was as nice to me as she was, like, she got me ice. She got me, like, Cam made me a makeshift sling with a hoodie. She's like, do you want an actual sling? Not this one, but she had made, like, a cloth
the cloth
sling.
one. She did it, like, really quick. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was very kind. And then the lady who also registered me in triage was really nice too. She was a little bit more peppy, but some people just have that in them.
Maybe she just started her shift,
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten long enough to be jaded yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thankfully everything is okay.
Yeah.
But I was, man, I don't know if you guys at home ever really like the last time y'all like pulled an all-nighter or like woken up like mid-REM before. But like it really is autopilot.
It's like...
Like, there was at one point where I had anticipated a very long stay in Emerge, so I had brought my Switch with me, because I was just like, well, if I'm going to be sitting here in an uncomfortable chair, I may as well grind some Monster Hunter or something, right? And there was a point where, like, because, like, I'm hard of hearing, so, like, with the masks on, we can't really, like, it's very muffled. You had 2 masks on.
Yeah.
So, like, it was really, and, like, there was at one point where I was playing a Switch, and I think you tried to, like, make a joke, and I legit looked at you and I was like, what? Like, what? And then you made the joke, and I was like, all right. And I just, like, went back to playing, like, and I wasn't mad. I'm not, like, mad. I'm just on autopilot.
Yeah, you're
I'm on,
just
like,
doing whatever, man.
Adam Sandler click autopilot when he fast forwards, and he's just like, like, all of my mental and bodily focuses are focusing on not falling asleep. Because you had fallen asleep at one point, like, trying to get some rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you're going to sleep, like, I have to be awake then, because, like, someone's got to hear your name getting called. So I didn't sleep. I just like stayed awake. And then at one point you got called in.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting in my chair. And I already don't really like hospitals. I don't have like a fear of hospitals. They're just like generally unpleasth. Like, I hate to say it. Like I've never been to the hospital. I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I love the beige. Nothing like
and
a
the
nice
pale, like not pastel, but just pale blue and green that you chose for the tiles.
We must be near the pregnancy war, because I just heard a blood-curdling scream ring down the halls.
It's true. When I sat in the triage emergency room, somebody let out a blood-curdling, extremely manic scream.
Yeah.
And like the lady was just like, the triage nurse was just like, okay, so like, are you experiencing any COVID symptoms like vomiting, nausea? And then she looked up at me and we looked at each other and she held eye contact with me while someone in the background just went,
Jesus Christ, look at that readout.
like the worst scream.
Yeah.
In the entire
It was
world.
like that, though. It was like... I
was
remember,
like a Wilhelm scream.
it was like genuine pain. Like, I thought someone was getting torn in half, honest to God. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we're in a hospital, all right.
And she just looked at me like, sorry, experiencing any symptoms? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so,
you have been having a night, ma'am.
This isn't even the worst thing that's happened to her today.
Let me just get my shit together and like leave.
I mean, it never happened again. So like, I'm one of those things where it's like, well, you are in a hospital. There is medical procedures going on.
Yeah.
Someone might be giving birth.
Maybe someone's giving birth. Maybe someone's having a bone set. Like, people are in pain.
It happens. These things happen. So I don't really like hospitals. But when you went in and I was the only one waiting out there, I was legit like, I want to leave. I want to get out. So I told you, like, I'm going to be in the car.
Yeah.
And then I've never stopped. I've never been able to fall asleep in my car before, but I, like, put my chair back and was just like, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And then we drove home and everything was okay.
Yeah, I bought you breakfast.
We got some McDonald's.
Because you were such a good help.
Such a champ.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one who needs the McDonald's. Like, you're the one who broke your arm.
Well, no, I was like, let me just show my appreciation for you making a makeshift sling for me, because you made that makeshift sling for me before I went to bed that night. You were like, okay, let's just like do it up. You like Googled it, learned how to help me get undressed, help me into my pajamas, like real nurse shit. I put Vaseline on my feet every night. He like rubbed Vaseline into my feet, guys. It was so cute. I was like, let me buy you some breakfast.
Yeah,
that's the least I could do.
And obviously, like, I'm here for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like, fucking around when I say I got your back,
obviously. Like, you were really there for me, and I really appreciated it. Yeah. And you came through big. So,
well, my family.
Let me buy you an egg McMuffin.
Yeah, and it was a delicious. They just introduced the bagels again, so I was like, ooh, sausage egg bagel, please.
Yeah, our hash browns were hot and fresh.
They were good. Yeah. It was hot and fresh.
Yeah.
But my family, like my mom, has a lot of experience with caretaking, especially when it comes to like older people. Especially like a lot of older people in my life need caretaking.
Yes, as she likes to say, I'm on my 5th senior.
Yeah, she's fond of saying that.
Yeah.
And my brother broke his femur a couple of years ago, and then he needed to be taken care of. And then obviously, like, I'm a baby. So my mother has been taking care of me my whole life. So I thank you. I know, I was just kidding. But like, so I've been trying to sort of like remember that, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to taking care of people. And it really wasn't, I didn't feel like slighted or inconvenienced or burdened at any point, right? It just, to me, it was the like, if someone was to be like, how did you get out of bed at 3 a.m? It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be like, hey, I know you are in massive amounts of pain, but like, it's early.
Can you wait till the morning?
I'm tired.
For what it's worth, you were better about taking me to the hospital than my own mother has been in the past.
Oh my God, really?
I deadass thought I had appendicitis a couple of summers ago, and like I couldn't like bend over, and like it was like I was showing all the signs. It was like sensitive when I touched it and stuff like that. Right. I'm fine, by the way. It was nothing.
That's
but
scary,
like,
though.
Yeah, no. And I was like, Mom, I think you need to go to the hospital. And she was like, okay, well, I'm doing some yard work right now. Can you wait until after I mow the lawn? And I was like, Mom!
We need to do a podcast where you say some positive things about your mother. Right, I have listened to like some episodes back where I'm like, God, she really just said that. You talked about how like your mom doesn't like to wash her hands, and there's like garbage on the counter, and like she won't take you to the hospital. It's like your mom is such a lovely lady.
She is.
It's like the nicest person on the planet.
I'm really bag of chipsing my mom right now. No, she takes really good care of me, and like she's a fucking superhuman. Like beat cancer 3 times. Like paid off her mortgage by herself. Like she's
a superwoman.
No, she's a badass. And
we got
a
couple of great moms. Couple of great moms.
Yeah, you're right. Right. I gotta give her a little bit more credit than that. But like I'm just saying, like this particular situation, you were better than my own mother.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So Sam, what's the moral of this story?
Wear my elbow pads.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Wear my elbow pads.
Because you weren't wearing.
I wasn't wearing elbow pads.
You didn't, but you have them. You bought them.
I do have elbow pads.
And you weren't wearing them.
I was not wearing elbow pads.
And where'd you get injured?
My elbow. I was wearing every other set of pads I have.
Where did you get injured?
I was wearing wrist guards. I was wearing knee pads. I was wearing a helmet.
Oh my God.
You couldn't fall. I am so good about falling forwards, because you're really not supposed to fall backwards on skates, because you fall out and you could like bust your butt really badly.
Of course.
But it happened. My elbow broke the fall.
And it broke. Boy, did it.
It fractured. And it's tiny.
That's a kind of break.
I saw the X-ray. It's a tiny fracture.
Hairline.
They didn't call it a hairline, but it's very small.
Okay. Well, I mean, but now you know. Okay, can I ask you a question? Why didn't you wear your elbow pads?
Because I thought I had it. I thought I had enough of a handle on skating that if I was wearing knee pads, wrist guards, and a helmet, that I would be good for the most part. I was doing it every other time.
Actually, I didn't notice that when I came to drop off the tripod.
Exactly.
However, but you gotta wear them. You gotta wear everything.
All the other cool girls don't.
Well, you're learning, and you're not done learning. And you know what? When those girls hairline fracture their radial bones, they're gonna wish they wore elbow pads.
Yes, Cam.
Anyway, I promised I wouldn't give you too much of a ribbon.
Yeah, this is the last one, by the way, because this is like the 3rd time you have been like, and where did you get hurt? And what are you going to wear from now on? Elbow pads. This is like the 3rd time.
Yeah, I mean,
I've had this fracture for less than 48 hours.
Well, I feel like I have a little bit of credence to do it. Like, we did it once in private, and then again on the Twitch stream, and now for the last time on the podcast.
You've ridiculed me enough times.
There's been enough ridicule.
This is the downside to having a channel with your partner, is that they have to ridicule you 3 times more than they normally do.
Well,
and the more things you do, listen, if we made movies, like there would be a scene where you come on and be like, and if you're roller skating, what are you gonna wear? And I'd be like, Cameron, this is a movie about addiction.
Addicted to elbow pads.
We'd have to like work it into the movie some way so you could ridicule me one more time.
Hey man, listen, if you can't broadcast your relationship for views and clicks, then what the fuck are we doing here?
Hanging out? I don't know.
Yeah, well, speaking of hanging out.
Yeah.
Today's topic of the Chill Spot podcast.
Because we are going to talk about something else.
We are actually going to talk about something else, not hospital related. Is talking about internet relationships. Something that has changed for Sam and I in recent months is the Chill Spot community growing. Ever since we went on to Twitch, we've had an immense amount of support and love, and we've started up a Discord. where some of the coolest people on the internet, in my opinion, are there hanging out, which of course you can join if those listening at home, if you want to chat with cool people, including us. Plug, always be closing. And it's just been a really interesting experience, you know? So Sam, like...
We wanted to talk about that.
What's your experience been running the Chill Spot community?
It's been really rewarding. Like, let me just say, like, you know, we're a couple of kids. We grew up both pre and post internet. Mm-hmm. So we grew up during a time where people were very wary of meeting people online because it was this new, like, mystical thing. And of course, you know, bad things were happening. People got hurt in a lot of ways, and it didn't work out for a lot of people in a lot of ways in the beginning. Yeah, there was. So I'm very much of the mindset of, like, be careful who you talk to on the internet. Don't reveal too much about yourself. Excuse me. And that doesn't really lead the way for friendship or letting anybody get, like, any kind of, like, significantly close to you. Invested in you. So I've never had internet friends before. I don't know about you.
No, not really.
Yeah, no, I never really. And you know, like, I did stuff online where I had to talk to strangers. Like, I played RuneScape, I played Habba Hotel, I played Gaia Online, I had MSN, like, you know, all this stuff. But, like, I always practiced cyber safety and, you know, never really told anybody anything about myself. And then we started streaming on Twitch. And just through sharing, you know, our opinions on games, people got to know us that way. And it's just sort of like moved into, it's just interesting how it's like been a slippery slope in the best way, where you start kind of sharing little things about yourself here and there. And then it's like, oh yeah, like this is who I am as a person. This is what I believe. This is what I feel. These are my deep, intricate feelings about serious things.
And then at this point, now we have a channel in our Discord called Horny Jail, where we've learned a lot about people we've never met before.
Everyone is 18 and over.
It's a channel on our Discord that you have to be 18 plus to even get into. Yes. So you can't even read it. Yeah. Of course, if you lie about your age, there's nothing we can do about that. But there's no one in our Discord who's done that. No. So no, to my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been really interesting because I also, like, and I shared this before too, that, like, one of the things that I wanted to work on this year as, like, a New Year's resolution was sharing more, not being so withdrawn and untrusting of so many people from the jump. So I've sort of been using that as an arena to sort of practice in. Yeah. Like, you know, practice what I preach. Mm-hmm. And it's just been super rewarding. Like, you know, I think about it sometimes and I'm like, I care about these people. Totally. Like, I care about these people. We have, like, our friend Cal just had top surgery, and, like, the whole day of his top surgery, we were thinking about him. Absolutely. You know, I was, like, going about my day, but he's, you know, in another province, and we were just, like, consumed with this person that we never would have met. Like, would have had no reason to interact with. But, you know, his experiences mean so much to us.
And Cal's a special circumstance. Shout out to Cal, by the way. Cal, for those who don't know at home and maybe don't consume our Twitch content, Cal is our Twitch moderator, as well as our Discord moderator, alongside Bradley Shortboy, who has been on the podcast before. Who you know and love. Who we all know and love. And Cal watched our Nancy Drew Let's Play series
on YouTube.
YouTube, that's how he got into it.
He found it in Reddit,
and on the Clue Crew Reddit when I blasted us over there. Yeah, and he's just been on our ship ever since. Yeah. And, like, he's definitely one of the people in our Discord who I feel probably the closest with, just because like he's been so open and honest with us, and he's been such a help to the community, and such a cornerstone part of the community, to the point where I was playing D&D a couple weeks ago, and I had mentioned that Cal, in his extreme generosity, had actually purchased Resident Evil 8 for us to play on the stream. Yes. Which, like, I talk about, like, repeating things. I talk about, like, in real life, then on the stream, then on the podcast. Like, that's something I'm going to repeat every day until I die. Yeah. Because you can actually generous. You can actually go back to that VOD and watch my face reaction. Yeah. Because literally, it's me, like, for those watching YouTube, me, like, looking at this and going,
yeah, like squinting at the screen.
To really be like, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, is that the right number?
And, like, we had stopped playing, and so Cal is the best. Huge shout out to Cal. Yeah. And it's interesting though, because, like, as a quote unquote internet personality, you have to be wary of certain things, right? Yes. Like, because there's certain I think there's people even in our Discord who, like, and no offense to these people if you listen to the podcast, that I wouldn't go necessarily as far to call them, like, our friends, more like members of the community who like to hang out and chat. Yeah. But there is, like, frequent chatters in our Discord that we've developed friendships with.
Gotten to get to know,
And those are people that I consider to have genuine relationships with, you know? And
people who I would like visit. Like we talk about like, you know, when the world is a little bit more open, like traveling to go see them, you know, because we feel that close to them.
Absolutely, man. So the Chosen Spot Discord has been amazing. Yeah. I love that community. I hope it continues to grow.
Yeah.
You know, it's something a lot of Twitch streamers do and a lot of internet personalities, like the sort of hodgepodge thing that we are, like whatever the nebulous thing that ChillSpot is. Well, eventually I would we talked briefly about like looking into things like Patreon and like more like exclusive paid content. And something that a lot of creators do is actually offer a Patreon Discord, which would be like an exclusive sort of VIP, you know, members chat, right?
Yeah.
Like I would only ever consider doing that if like all of a sudden, you know, the public Discord's got like
too busy
2,000 members and like it's more of like a message board, right? And then like maybe I'll join the Patreon to get like the original feel back or something, right? You know, but that's like down the road. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head, but having a Discord has been an amazing experience. And we're so thankful for these people. It's also been kind of like been kind of reassuring, right? Because when ChillSpot first started, and also like this is actually just is coinciding with being an artist. When you launch your career as an artist, your quote unquote fan base is going to be people in your life, right? Like your parents, your parents' friends, your friends, their parents, you know, like people you know, right? Like, because that's your reach. But getting this Discord full of mostly people that we don't know in real life, and like having them be like, wow, your stuff is actually great, is like, thank God. I thought I've just been fucking around.
That's the biggest, that's the scariest part of being an artist, because like once you sort of carve out, you know, your outlook on things, your artist's lens or whatever, you know, kind of what you want to do, what your brand is going to be. That's a very capitalist way of thinking about it. But just
the way it is, though.
But just like, you know, once you figure out what your outlook is as an artist, like for us, you know, we're very like pop culture focused, social justice oriented, that sort of deal.
Insightful conversation kind of thing.
Yeah. So once we kind of carve that out, you're like, okay, well, who's going to care? Like, who the hell cares? And it's just been it's really nice to know that somebody other than our moms and our moms' friends care, and our friends, you know, care about that. It's really, really cool. It's also really fun because like the Discord is a mishmash of people that we know in real life. There are a lot of our IRL friends who've joined the Discord. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. And people that we don't know who live far away, and they all get along with each other.
It's amazing.
And it's like, that's the thing where I was like, wow, like you guys really could be my friends, because if you're getting along with my friends that I know in real life who I've carved out these relationships with, like you would be a person that I would hang out if you were local, you know? Like that just goes to show that if we were close, like distance is the only thing that's preventing us from being friends. Right. And now we have, you know, through the beauty of the internet, you're a little bit closer to me. Well,
something that I think is also important to remember, and like I'm not poo-pooing what you just said at all, but it's something to stay conscious of when you have internet friends, especially when you're in a creator position and they're in someone who watches your content, is that like being online internet relationships don't require the same amount of maintenance that a real friendship does. I didn't put that eloquently. That an in-person friendship would, right? It's a little bit easier to be in an internet relationship, in my opinion, because like, you know, you check in every day and you send some memes and you laugh and you yuck, and like, it's mostly good times all around, right? Of course, there are some times when someone is like, hey guys, I'm feeling really down, and then you got to go, you know, support mode and like help people out. But like when it comes,
even then, there's only so much you can do.
Of course, because you're through the internet, right? But in an IRL friendship, like that kind of stuff is just sort of like consistent. You know. Support is needed more frequently, and it's also in my opinion a lot harder to maintain an IRL friendship. It's really easy to just sort of recede and be like meme machine, like and online and stuff. I mean, I agree and I disagree to a certain extent. I agree that with online friendships, it is for the most part very like, how's your day? Then they tell you, and then you're like, that's great, or I'm so sorry, and then you send a couple memes, and then, I don't know, maybe you talk about, like, the latest thing that's happening. It's like a glorified group
there's
chat.
A new game release, or if there's a new movie trailer that's come out, or something like that, something that you're both interested in. You're like, cool, have a conversation about it, call it a day. However, when someone is really going through it, I personally feel like there's a different kind of support that you can offer when you're in an internet friendship, you know, and that's simply just like being attached to your phone.
Sure.
Which is like, it's hard because it's not realistic because you have the rest of your life going on around you. But I feel like, you know, internet friend support is like, you know, can I call you right now? You know, I have to take my mom to the hospital and I'm scared to go by myself and I don't have anyone else around me. So can I call you? And like being available to do that, you know, like that level of support. Yeah. You know, like if it were a real life friend, I'd be like, you know, like, let me bring you food. I'm coming with you. Like I can give you a ride. If you don't want to take an ambulance, like I got you.
You're not limited.
Yeah, you are a little bit more limited in an internet friendship, but I feel like your mere like presence is the best thing that you can offer someone. And like that's, you know, that's demanding and it's difficult to navigate because you've got your life going on around you, you know, like you're not physically around that person and no one else knows that your friend is going through it right now. Right. It's a little bit more apparent when the person is close to you.
That's true.
But, you know, it's the way it could.
Well, it's the way it is. I mean, what I just described wasn't meant to be like a negative thing on internet relationships. It's just the way it is, in my opinion, right? Yeah. And I'm sure there's people in the Discord who would agree with that, where it's like, you know, they share their lives and we share our lives in the Discord, and it's a very, very comfortable, relaxed, very chill place.
That's the brand.
That's the brand. But at the same time, everyone's got their lives going on. Yeah. You know? And like, that's why I always say,
we can only do so much.
I make a point to say almost every Twitch stream, like, thank you guys for taking time out of your night to hang out with us. Because like, it is never like an attendance list thing with me. I'm never like looking at the chat like, where is this person?
Haven't seen you around in about 2 weeks. You should leave the Discord if you're not going to talk to us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were a real fan. You know, like we're not those people.
Hell no.
Because we want people to understand that we have lives. So in turn, we have to understand that people have lives.
Yes.
And that's a part of an internet relationship, in my opinion.
That's also part of being chill. Is like, hey man,
it's cool, bro.
If you can't come, it's really okay.
Yeah, it's totally not the end of the world.
Not at all. Not at all. What's next?
Well, in terms of like internet friendships and relationships, you had mentioned that before we really started getting Chill Spot off the ground that you didn't really have internet relationships, and neither did I.
Yeah.
What was your opinion on internet relationships before, and what's your opinion now?
Before, I was like, that sounds nice. Not for me, though.
I didn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand how I was supposed to manifest an honest-to-goodness connection with somebody who was not close to me, because I don't know, just something about the screen being there. You know, it was such a barrier to me, or at least it was before we started this Discord. It was such a barrier to me to, you know, tell somebody the things that you usually share with a person in order to get closer to them, in order to form a friendship.
Right.
I knew people who had done it. I knew people who had internet friends. I always believed that internet friendship was real friendship, real legitimate friendship. But I just didn't have that. I didn't have anybody that I felt like was a true friend online, you know? I was like, good for you if you can do it, but I have no idea how. Like, you know how like Bumble and like dating apps have like a friendship section where it's like you can go on Tinder and like not look for hookups. You can be like, I am interested in friendship. Or like Bumble, because it supports women specifically. It can be like women looking for other women to be friends with.
Right.
You know, trying to foster the whole female relationship thing.
Well, that's nice. Female friendship.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
I actually legitimately did not know that.
But I don't know how you can like see somebody list off all the things they're interested in and think that just because you're also interested in that thing, that person can be your lifelong friend.
Well, especially because like to me, like that's how none of my friendships have fostered.
No.
Like because none of my
very manufactured.
A lot of my friendships are fueled by the fact that while we have some similar interests, for the most part, we're all very different people.
Yeah.
Who like different things.
Yeah.
Like sure that coincides, but like a lot of my friendships is me being interested in the things that my friends are interested in.
Yeah.
In terms of like, oh, so tell me about that. Like, I don't know about it. I don't consume that every day. Tell me about it. And then in turn, that's what they do with me too, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, well, I heard about this game. Like, what's that all about? And then like, you know, I'd share it. And then we start a conversation.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So I gotta wonder, like, I mean, this Discord is sort of proving me wrong because there's so many like-minded people in there, but it's like, in that notion, I wouldn't think that I'd be able to have a friendship with someone who like fired on all cylinders the same way that I did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that would go or what that would look like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't have the thought completely formulated in my head, but there's just something about like how I carry on a conversation with someone who is directly in front of me and how I carry on a conversation with someone over text, you know, in a chat, like in a Twitch chat or like via Messenger or Discord or something like that, where something it's just like that, there's something not human about it. Mm-hmm. So I find it very hard to understand how people can just sort of like talk to someone over the internet the same way they would talk to someone in real life. For me, it's different. Maybe it's just because like I listen to my mommy about talking to strangers on the internet, so I naturally come off as like even less human than I already seem, because I'm very much like, I live in a city, not the country. I go to a school, not a high school. You say things about yourself, but not detailed things. You don't reveal all those details.
You don't want to give off too much information.
But the details are what let people get close to you.
Right.
So that you can form a relationship with them.
Well, if you put shields up around yourself, then you'll probably come off as guarded.
And I'm very much not in the habit of doing that when it comes to the internet, because my parents were like, you're going to get abducted. You're going to get murdered. Like, don't tell people anything, because the second you tell them your name, they're going to go and they're going to steal your identity and you'll never have a life and you'll die.
There was a lot of fear in your raising.
There was a lot of fear mongering. I don't chalk it up to that, but like there's a lot of fear mongering in the beginning stages of the internet because we didn't know what it was, and some parents I think took to that fear a little better than others.
Bro, my mom this year just started trusting Amazon. She was like, "Oh, but if you put your credit card in the internet, like." Someone's gonna steal
your money.
And it's like, yeah, if you go on some like backwater fucking, this is Amazon. It's a massive company. Oh my God. So small anecdote. And I want to return to what you were just saying.
Sure.
I used to work at EB Games. And one time, this elderly woman, baby boomer age, I'd say elderly. She's a baby boomer age woman, came into the store and was lambasting about how ridiculous everything is in this store, you know. And I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, I work here. So. And I'm obviously into this stuff. And she was talking about how like she doesn't trust Amazon.
Yeah.
And she said this thing where it's like, oh, you never know. And she walked out. And I swear to God, like, I'm not this kind of person, but I got so like hyper fixated on the idea of like, you never know. It's like, you do though.
Yeah.
Of course you don't. What do you mean you don't know? Fucking ordering something on Amazon is not spinning the fucking wheel. You're not going to get something you didn't order.
Yeah.
And you're not going to steal your information. Amazon is a massive corporation.
Yeah.
They've been in power. They may as well be. They've been in operation for so long.
Yeah.
It is such a why do you think people use Amazon?
Early 2000s, like freshly post 9/11 America.
It just
when like Amazon's
drives me crazy. Like to me, that's ignorance.
Yeah.
Like, that's ignorance.
Yeah.
But you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, parents not trusting the internet, ergo I don't reveal a lot about myself. It's a habit of mine to not reveal a lot about myself on the internet because that fear is still, there's a little nugget still in my brain.
A little scritchy scratchy in the back of your head.
Scritchy scratchy going like, hey, if you tell someone your last name as well as your first name, they're gonna steal your identity. And
Mickey.
And it's just sort of inhibited. And I think some of my friends were a little less guarded than that.
Totally.
And therefore were able to form relationships over the internet. I'm just not like that. So, you know, my opinion on internet friends and long distance relationships is very much like, yeah, if you want to bargain with your life like that, then go for it.
If you're really trying to spin that wheel.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this person actually cares about you, but understand that you lucked out. You met one of the lucky ones who genuinely want to be your friend.
Yeah.
And just like, I just don't want to spin that wheel personally.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, we've had this Discord for, I want to say, about a year now.
Probably a little bit less.
If someone was going to steal my identity, they would have done it. If someone was going to learn where I live precisely and murder me with an axe, they would have done it. And either I successfully spun this wheel or, you know, maybe the internet's just at a place where if someone wants to kill you, they'll find a way to do it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Where I personally, in terms of that, what you just said, I had the wrong idea about internet relationships. If I can be perfectly honest with you, in high school, granted, this is a younger, dumber more ignorant Cam.
Yeah. You already said you were in high school, so
yeah, where that covers those bases.
Yeah, we all were.
And my understanding of internet relationships was people like on Tumblr who just like geek out over fandom shit.
Yeah, now you're dating one.
And tend to be really extra.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I don't think this anymore, but I'm gonna say what I thought.
Okay.
Which is just like hyperactive people who struggle with social interaction, dorks who fandom out over really stupid shit and get in fights with each other that cause insane emotional turmoil.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
And then like it got sort of, I sort of held that for a while. And then when I started dating you told me about your like Facebook groups used to be, they're like leftist social Facebook groups used to be a part of, where like that sounded like a good idea.
Yeah.
But all I heard was you guys fighting constantly.
Left book is a problem.
But you know what I mean? But like, that reinforces this thinking of just like, why would you have what's the point of internet? It just sounds like you guys are dramatic constantly. Like, I don't want this. Of course, that is not the right idea.
No.
And that is not what having an actual internet relationship is.
No.
And I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah.
But that's how it used to be. That's honestly how I used to think about that stuff.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
You okay?
I love how you were trying, it sounded like you wanted to say something so problematic and then you were like, dorks.
I was trying to find the nicest word.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna be like fucking Tumblrinas, feminazis. That's gross.
No, like I totally get it, and you know, being a part of Left Book definitely sucked for a little bit there. I don't know if anybody is aware of what Left Book is. It was the sort of like leftist area of Facebook where you would make these groups. I mean, like, it definitely
probably still exists.
There's definitely a right wing version of this.
Yeah, it's called Facebook.
The rest of Facebook. But no, I would join these groups and it sounded like hunky dory. It was just like it just sounded like a fun place where people would share fun memes and make fun of idiots on the internet, and it was cathartic to, you know, like someone would take the latest like Ben Shapiro dumbass thing that he said and just make fun of him.
Yeah, totally. It's the best.
There was a sense of catharsis that comes out of that, but then someone would inevitably say something problematic because Left Book was very white, and someone would say something stupid and then they wouldn't want to be corrected on it, and like the whole practice was just very problematic. And because we were all so far away from each other and the groups were very large, they were like a couple thousand people big, you know, the group would implode, and then someone would break off and form a new group and be like, this is the new version of this group without this problematic person, and then we would talk shit about the last problematic person until another white person would eventually do something new problematic, and then another group would splinter off, and I was just like,
that
man,
is parasitic.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't do that to my best friend,
dude. I don't
worst
need it.
enemy. I mean,
I don't need it anymore. I was in it for the memes.
Yeah. And
then it slowly became not about memes, and I was like, you know what? I'm
this
out.
Is stupid.
I'm so out.
If I wanted to be on Reddit, I'd just be on Reddit.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I've had experiences with like groups, and like this is my experience of it was very like I didn't participate in it too much. It's just like it's in my phone. I was never a part of these arguments. I would just kind of watch them blow up and then be like, oh, like, what's the new group? And then, like, one of the moderators would break off and start a new group, and they'd be like, this is the new version of this group. And I'd be like, okay, cool. And then the memes would be funny for a couple of months until the next thing happened.
That is so fucked up. Like, the idea of, like, well, I'm gonna create my own Left Book group with blackjack and hookers, you know? Like, it's just like... Like that's the solution to this? Instead of talking out your feelings, you're just gonna be like, well, what if we just make a new one without you?
Yeah.
No callings allowed.
As if getting rid of the person is what is gonna solve the problem. It's anyway, like, no, it's the mentality.
Back to the echo chamber. Like, it's
literally.
It's so dumb.
So you can see why I wasn't very trusting of you know, getting super close with people on the internet. But you know, through, you know, finding the right channels on Twitch and to communicate with, and just sort of like setting, I think it also helps that like we set the tone for our Twitch streams. You know, we had the freedom to say like, this is what we tolerate, this is what we don't tolerate. And we made our Twitch channel around the time where a lot of discourse was like, okay, if you're going to create a community on the internet, like, don't put up with, because we created our Twitch channel in the Trump era. So a big Trump era thing on the left is like, we're not tolerating any sort of bigotry anymore.
Yeah, it's a
I don't care.
done.
I don't care who I lose. I don't care about, making nice. I don't care about like being your pal. If you are a Nazi or if you're a bigot, fuck you. Get out of here. I'm not hanging out with you. And it's very black and white. It's very that.
The fact that that's a political thing now, like that's like a political divide, is crazy to me.
But regardless, that's the tone that we set. So I feel like because we were so clear about that, we attracted the right people to us.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, like, knock on wood, but so far we haven't had any problems and everything's been really hunky-dory.
We've had exactly
one troll. We had one troll
who wouldn't stop posting
awful shit,
gross Nazi memes and shit,
and we just kicked him out. Like,
we just banned them.
You just ban them. You kick them out.
I mean, that's also something to be said. Like, last thing before we move on, where it's like something I think is really interesting about that. I'm not going to go into detail because it's literally no more detail than what we just said. Someone was being a jerk, so we banned them.
Yeah,
we have a 3-strike rule, but bigotry is a 1-strike rule.
Yeah,
of any kind, hate speech of any kind is a 1-strike rule. But they broke the 3 strikes, so we banned them.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that, like, when you operate on the internet, especially on YouTube and Twitch, the majority of the people you're going to attract is going to be younger folks.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of people our age and younger, actually, and older too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
In our Discord.
Honestly.
But we can't deny that there is a sizable part of our community who is like 13 to 17. They just don't chat as much as the other people do.
Maybe they don't chat as much. Yeah, the people that we talk to and share details about our lives with are over 18. Let me say that.
I know, but you understand that we do this on a public forum.
Yes.
Right? So like they're reading it.
Yeah.
It's not, unless they turn the notifications off. The point is it's important to acknowledge what I just said.
Yeah.
So this person we kicked out was no doubt like 13.
Yeah.
And edgy.
Being edgy.
And wanting to fucking, push buttons and hopefully get a reaction. But we didn't give them that reaction. We just told them enough is enough and you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I don't think like this person was being malicious. I just think they were being a douche.
Being an edgelord.
Yeah, exactly. You're a friggin' edgelord.
Yeah.
Posting weird swastika memes in a chat where like we're pretty explicit about the fact that we don't necessarily want that here.
Yeah.
There's a rule in our Discord where that if you think what you're sharing is going to make people uncomfortable, you probably shouldn't share it.
Yeah. So don't do it.
Exactly.
But we had that one experience. And, you just got to set the precedent. And that's the other thing, too, about interacting on the internet. And I feel like we've learned this since the internet came out, is that you have a right to set your boundaries, say what you will and won't tolerate, and stick by it. Stick by it. And, I've really enjoyed getting to know everybody and just, like, learning how to be on the internet with internet people, respectfully.
I would say a pretty almost universally positive experience so far, I would say. Now, with that in mind, talking about internet friendships, Sam, have you ever been in a long distance relationship?
No.
Like a internet, like phone call, webcam type relationship?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think I could. I'm very selfish, and
don't say that.
I know. I guess it's not really selfishness.
You don't take this the wrong way. You have needs.
Yeah.
You're not needy.
I have needs.
No, but I'm serious. You're not needy. I wouldn't go as far to say that you're needy, but you do have things that you need from a relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like I have some credence in that conversation, right? Whatever.
Yeah, you being 40 minutes away is probably about the farthest that I would go. Hands down.
My last relationship turned into a long distance relationship. Towards the end of it.
How was that?
I thought that we managed it super well, but we also aren't dating anymore. So, but that was, I think about that relationship, and I think it's just like very different people, right?
Well, yeah, you were dating in high school, and then you kept dating after you went to university. Yeah. But your first year of university, you changed so much.
Oh, so much. So much. Yeah. We did the best we could. We did lots of video calls. Yeah. We did lots of phone calls. Of course, we were texting constantly, because coming from a high school relationship where you do that, which is, by the way, pro tip, if you want to be in a long-term relationship, stop texting all the time. Just do yourself a favor. It's so much better. So much better. It's so much better to have things to talk about that are substantial. Where it's like, if I don't hear from you for 4 hours, I know that Sam is going to have been doing something in those 4 hours, as opposed to being like every 20 minutes. So what are you up to? Right? Like, do yourself a favor. Get over that. Trust me. Trust me, Avery. If you're in high school and you listen to this podcast, that's the way to go.
Yeah. But your relationship, your long distance relationship, and when
we made it work the best we could.
Yeah.
We visited. She visited sometimes, and I visited her a couple of times. And like the long distance part wasn't the part causing the end of the relationship.
Yeah. It was being in your first year of university.
Yeah. It was going through changes and realizing that we're different people.
Yeah.
And ending it. It was a very mutual thing, I will say. I mean, maybe she feels differently. Who knows? But like in my opinion, I certainly felt as though it was a mutual decision. And in terms of making it long distance, I think that like it would be hard in the sense that like you miss out on things, and either there are certain things you miss out on when your partner's not 40 minutes away or even 10, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of the intimacy in that regard. I could do a long distance relationship if it wasn't permanent.
Yeah.
Because that's the caveat, right?
If there was an end date, like a clear end date when you didn't have to put up with it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the caveat, right? Where it's like most long distance relationships are under the pretense that one day this won't be a long-term relation or long distance relationship.
Yeah.
But if it was just gonna be that, no way.
Yeah.
Like if there was a point where it was just like, I'm going to travel. My partner is like, I got to travel around the world because I need to go save it, right? Or whatever. Right? I'm going to be one of these people who are like different country every week.
Yeah.
I'd probably just be like, then I don't think that we should date.
Yeah.
I think that maybe you should find someone else to date. Yeah. And then I would find someone else to date.
I agree.
And that's the end of that.
I agree. Like you said, I have needs. And one of those needs, like my love language is quality time.
Totally.
If you take the time to, I mean, like that's why you helping me at the hospital was so moving for me because of the time that it took that you didn't mind putting in to help me out.
Of course.
In my time of need.
Of course, yeah.
So like, being long distance, you can't do that. And that just wouldn't work for me. Like hands down, like I have no interest. Yeah. And like you said, if there was a definite end date, like we're actors, if you needed to go on location far away for a couple of months, like absolutely no problem. Like go live your dream.
You probably enjoy the time away, like a little vacation.
But if it was permanent, like just what are you doing?
Well, why, right?
What are you doing? Yeah. You can't like there's like I can count on one hand the number of times I see you in person, and we just have to like cram in, like a year's worth of intimacy and sharing space and being there for each other after the end of a long day's work or a long day of just living.
Yeah.
And we have to cram that into like 2 visits a year, maybe if we're lucky. No. It
just doesn't sound worth it to me. It just doesn't sound like it's something that would work out, and it doesn't sound like something that like really can work out.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Not interested.
It's also just like, and I know it hurts. Like, believe you me, like when my last relationship ended, I went through a lot of emotional stuff. I was also 19, and like you come a long way since then. But ending a relationship isn't a universally negative thing.
No.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true.
Yeah.
Even someone you really love.
Yeah.
Like, you sometimes have to, I know it's the most cliche thing in the world, but to be like, if you love someone, you gotta let them go. But like, literally, though, sometimes in certain situations, it's actually better to not be together.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. In terms of like, hey, we're about to go long distance, and that's like permanent for the most part.
Yeah.
At least for the next 5 years. I'd be like, girl, I love you.
Yeah.
And like we can chat still and like be friends, but like we can't do this.
Yeah.
And
I would just, like just be grateful that it was that ended your relationship and nothing, like no one did anything to anybody else.
Yeah.
You just like, you got to go your own way.
Yeah.
And, out of love for that person, if there's like an opportunity for them that they need to chase in a different geographical area, like part of loving someone is supporting them.
Totally.
So it's like, this is going to better your life and I do love you. So you got to go.
Yeah.
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 And that's just the way it is. It's just the way it goes.
This is the way I feel.
You can't do anything about that.
It's just the way that things gotta go sometimes.
All right, last thing I want to talk about before we end the podcast, Sam.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Something that's interesting about internet relationships, especially as a couple of content creators, is the idea of parasocial relationships. Now, I explained to this what this is to you, but I'll keep it simple for those at home. Parasocial relationships is essentially the notion that you're in a relationship where power dynamics aren't the same, and in terms of like a fan watching someone's content, you develop a familiarity with the content creator, which is sort of a false image. The idea that like you think you know a lot about this person based on how much they are willing to share. But however, it's important to understand that how much they're willing to share isn't everything about them. Right? Like an example I use as someone we were fond of, but we don't necessarily watch as much anymore, is the Game Grumps, a big Let's Play channel with Aaron Hansen and Dan Avidan from Ninja Sex Party. They're exceptionally open with their community. They share a lot of stories about their lives, and I think that's a beautiful part of being a part of the Grumps community. I know nothing about those guys.
We don't actually know these people.
No, you don't.
They're not our friends.
No, they're not our friends. They are in a parasocial relationship. Someone who has all the power in that relationship. Because I don't know anything about Dan or Aaron at all.
They also don't know anything about you.
Exactly.
Just because we have things in common with them doesn't mean that they know us.
Yeah,
it's
so
not the same.
parasocial relationships, scary.
Yes.
But manageable. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because with the rise of like quote unquote relatable content, people are learning that we have a lot more in common, especially when it comes to like, we have a lot more in common with like little tiny, like minuscule, neurotic little things. It's insane that, you know, like, do you remember like when Facebook was a thing and there were all these like little groups that you could join?
But you liked them, you know?
Yeah, it was like when you see a typo and you look down at your keyboard to see if the two letters were close to each other, to see if someone like made that mistake like purely accidentally.
I do to this day.
And you're like, whoa, like 560 other people do this too? That's insane. And it's easy, you know, when people sort of share like hashtag relatable content to think like, wow, like I am so similar to this person on such a molecular level that we're basically the same person. We're friends. It's so easy to fall for that.
Totally.
But it's exactly like you said. You don't know this person. You will never be able to know this person intimately.
Not through the current relationship you have anyway.
Yeah. Like I think about like you and I were friends before we were dating. And I learned so much more about you once we started dating than we ever did as friends.
It's vice versa. Same here.
So imagine, and like we were local, like we were close to each other. We went to school together. And
I saw you every day for 4 years.
I've learned so much more about you just by dating you than we ever did as friends. And when we were friends, we were close friends.
Yeah, we hung out all the time.
I considered you one of my best friends. Still do.
Oh, yeah.
But,
anyway.
you know, like when we were just friends, I was like, it's insane to me how Cameron feels like someone that I've known for my entire life. And yet, still didn't know everything about you. So how in the hell could you possibly think that you know a person just because you follow them and watch all of their content?
Yeah.
You know, watched every interview they've ever given, you know, listened to every podcast they've ever been a guest on, consume all of their media. Like, it's just, it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, there's a power dynamic there because at the end of the day, they are the creator and you are a fan. Like, that's how that works.
Absolutely.
So, it gets dicey, especially when the fans are young.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're predispositioned to sort of like everything off the bat.
Yeah.
Because you're a fan.
Yeah.
So, you know, you write off some of the less desirable things about this person, right?
Yeah.
And like, especially if like, you know, there have been internet creators who have gotten in some hot water, and in terms of their interaction with fans, especially in a sexual relationship nature type thing, and it's like, that's the danger of a parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
You have to watch out for those power dynamics, right? And not even in creator-fan relationships, even like boss-employee, right? Like, that's a parasocial relationship, you know? But I think parasocial relationships are definitely one of those things where, like, if you're honest about it, though, it's something you can navigate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not universally negative.
Yeah.
It's just something you need to be aware of.
Like, okay. We've joked about this on the podcast.
On the podcast.
On the podcast before. But I am prone to having crushes on celebrities who are not my boyfriend. And as an adult, I understand. Like, you have to understand that just because you think that you're attracted to this person, like genuinely attracted to this person, like all of my celebrity crushes, like I like them because of the person that they are. Plus the way that they look. Like, it is a little materialistic.
You like the idealization.
I like the idea of these people.
Yeah.
You know, like I like people who, you know, like have worked really hard for what they've gotten and are achieving a lot and have like achieved a lot of growth in their lifetimes. You look at my crushes like of the past, it's all like Chris Evans, you know, like stepping into the role of Captain America. Like, that's huge. I think of like Nick Kroll going from like a not dinky little, but like going from a sketch show that he himself thought was sort of squished between like two of the greatest sketch shows of all time on one channel, being Inside Amy Schumer and Key and Peele.
Sure.
And then growing to make Big Mouth, which is like a multi-Emmy nominated show and has all these amazing actors on it. It's admirable, you know? Daniel Radcliffe, like he was Harry Potter, but found out that acting was what he genuinely loved and really fell in love with his craft and got better at it. And now I think he's one of the best actors in the world.
Out there, for
personally,
sure.
I think he's a fantastic actor.
I personally am a fan of Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah. You know, they're people who I respect deeply because of the things that they do, the things that I see them do in public. But you have to keep in mind that they are people.
You still don't know you know.
I still don't know a thing about these people.
You know as much about Daniel Radcliffe as archaeologists know about the history of the Earth. Yeah. Which is less than 1%.
It's what I can glean from the artifacts that are left behind. It's what I can glean from the things that I can access.
The fucking breadcrumbs.
I don't get the whole picture.
But you've never seen that loaf. You know what I'm saying? You follow the breadcrumbs, but you have no idea. You don't know if it's sourdough.
Exactly.
You don't know if it's a ciabatta. You don't know anything about this person. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary part. I've even feel like a little bit in terms of like us and like in the Discord, there's something I've been really conscious of is that like, you know, you and I are fairly open people, but we don't share literally everything about our lives. No. But we're open with that with these people at home, you know? Like, I consider people in the Discord to be my friend. There are people who I'm not as close with. But at the end of the day, like you are online friends.
Yes.
And that's not like a lesser tier of fucking friendship or like...
Best friendship isn't a person, it's a tier.
But, you know, I'm not trying to sound... I sound like I'm poo-pooing, but I really just want to be open about it, right? Yeah. I think the way to navigate a parasocial relationship, which by definition is something that we have with a lot of people in our Discord, is to be open about it. Yeah. Is to be honest about it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, to be absolutely transparent and just be like, hey, this is what's up. Like... Yeah. You know know what you're involved in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think,
and then you'll feel better if there was something that goes wrong or if there's something that needs to be addressed because you know there won't be as much feelings hurt. Someone won't have skewed expectations. Yeah. They'll be able to feel how they feel because we've set that out there.
You know, I think it was problematic before because we weren't having those conversations.
Never.
You know, like you feel like a sense of closeness with somebody. And it's like, well, I feel close to this person, so this person is my friend. And we didn't know, you know, we're still learning how to be internet people. And I think society is at a point now where we know that these relationships that you form with people on the internet have this film of like parasocialness over top of them that prevents you from really getting to know a person the way that you would a local friendship or kind of relationship sort of. And I'm just glad that we're getting better about that because it just means that people will get hurt less. And then you can enjoy the relationships that you do have. Yeah. They're special. They're just not special in the same way that they are with people in my immediate circle.
And that's okay.
You know, it's just a different kind of special and that's okay.
Well, the way I see it is that like people in our Discord are obviously we're all friends and we're chummy and we hang out, but they have close personal friends that aren't in the Discord. Yes. Right? Like that's what I've always had to remind myself, even with like, pardon me, even with like work relationships, right? I think about like, oh, you know, I've never really been super close with anyone I've worked with, like ever. But that's kind of like, I personally prefer that. Like, I don't necessarily want to get too personally invested with the people I work with.
Yeah.
And that's no offense to the people I like everyone I worked with. But at the end of the day, like, we're not like friends, really. We're not like best friends.
Once you don't have that, like, that relationship that thing that
binds?
That binds your relationship, like a workplace.
And there was a time in my life where I was like, I wonder if they feel like I'm an asshole, or I wonder if maybe I should have been. But then I remember, like, wait, these are people who go home and like talk to their friends.
Yeah.
Like I do. You know?
Hello.
So who cares?
Hello.
Who cares? We're pleasant at work, and I obviously like you.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to know what our relationship would be if I didn't like you, right? Like, I think that, like, a lot of people think I'm this overly kind person. I associate myself with people I like.
Yeah.
Because I'm not kind all the time. I'm a person, right? I got ups and downs.
Right.
So I should say I'm not going to be rude to someone I don't like.
Yeah.
I just won't be as kind.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I would say on the whole, you're very pleasant upon contact.
Well, I'm also someone who fucking
isn't a bad person.
Well, thank you. But I also just hate conflict.
Yeah.
In awkward situations.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if I cause an awkward situation. That's how I enter every single social situation.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be damned if I make this awkward. Right? Regardless of my feelings. Which, of course, is something that I've learned in recent months is, like, not the most fair to myself, but that's getting off topic.
Yeah.
I think this has been a wonderful episode of the Chill Spot Podcast.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
and
fun.
I do love all of my internet friends, and I'm glad that I met the ones that I had.
Absolutely.
It's not that, I was bad at it before. It's just I was waiting for the right ones to come along.
Eternally grateful
Yeah.
for the support that we get from our Discord
Yeah.
and our Twitch and our
Yeah.
YouTube and this podcast.
Yeah.
And we would be nowhere without all of you at home, regardless of where you are in the world or in the country. So thank you to all of our internet friends. Big shout out to everyone in the Chill Spot Discord. It is such a nice place.
Yeah.
Y'all can join in the links in the description below if you're watching on YouTube.
Screen too.
Yeah, Sam's going to put a little, okay, whatever. Thank you so much for listening to the Chill Spot Podcast.
Yeah.
We upload every week at Tuesday at 3 p.m. on YouTube, and a little bit earlier on the same day for streaming services. So, if you listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Podbean, you get a little bit early. But you can always watch the YouTube one for the video, get our faces in our beautiful studio. If you liked this podcast, be sure to leave a like on YouTube and subscribe if you aren't. Podcasts live or die by word of mouth, so be sure to share with your friends.
I would love it if you did.
Do you have any internet relationships at home?
I was going to say, hit us up in the comments section and tell us about your an internet friendship that means the most to you.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know your experiences with internet relationships and maybe even a parasocial relationships and maybe something that hopefully was positive. But thank you so much for listening, you guys, and we'll be back next week with more of the Chill Spot Podcast.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Chill Spot.